captain Rohit Sharma 3-1. The series is won. There was a brief moment yesterday when India fell to 5 for 120 with the target still 72 runs away, where England moved into favouritism, but Shubman Gill saw to that with a nerveless 52. Bharat Sundaresan, now where would we find him? If I was having a guess, I would say in the nets at the Basin Reserve in Wellington. Net whispering. Hello to you, Bharat.
Hello, Jared. You are absolutely right. I'm in my happy place, and you can hear my favorite background noise, ball on bat. It just sounds different here, though, in New Zealand, Jared. Something about the acoustics of the New Zealand air. It always sounds like a ball is being mistimed. I have no idea why, but it's caught my eye and my ear in the last couple of days.
We will have days to discuss these things, Bharat, in what lies ahead. Now, we were corresponding last night, just pondering as matters got tight. What was your first blush? What's your first overall reaction to India winning the series 3-1?
Look, we've spoken so much about baseball and England's approach and England's chances in this series, but for me, Jared, it's just a reminder of why this Indian team or Indian teams in general on Indian pitches remain quite impregnable. They're not invincible. They lose the occasional test match like they did in Hyderabad. But to win a series against India, which is why it's so special and it doesn't happen very often. And I think, I'm sure a lot has been written about where England floundered and where they lost opportunities in the last few weeks. But if anything, it was just India finding ways to win. But more than that, just so happy to see someone like Dhruv Jurel step up and first ever wicketkeeper from India to win a man of the match or player of the match in his debut series. And it kind of sums up the depth of Indian cricket, but also the fact that there is no a particular Indian cricketer, right? They can be of different kinds. But I think just overall, just India too mighty on their own condition.
So how powerful a demonstration has it been, Bharat, of that depth? And I noticed Crash referred to, there was always the feeling with the rise of the IPL that India would provide just such a depth of player as to become all-conquering, and we've sort of waited and waited and waited. How powerful is this moment on that front?
Especially to down an English team, with the backing of their media and the backing of probably the rest of the world was keeping a keen eye on them as well, right? Like, are this English team going to provide a blueprint as to how you can defeat India in India? And to do it with such an inexperienced batting lineup. I mean, Rohit Sharma, yes, he was named captain 2 years ago, but, he missed a lot of test cricket since. And this was his second major test series as captain after he hosted Australia last year. And to do it with the likes of, Shubman Gill suddenly in the role of a senior batter. He spoke about the nerves he had even when he made the 100 in the second test. Sarfaraz Khan finally coming through. There are 4 debutants in 4 test matches, Jared. And for this team to stand up to this English challenge and win pretty convincingly in the end, I think they've sent many warning signs before that we could well be in this era of mighty India. Look, I know they don't win ICC tournaments. We've spoken a lot about that. But when it comes to Test cricket, there is just something very special. And also tells you that Test cricket is going nowhere because there are millions of Indian kids who want to grow up and play Test cricket for India.
For Shubman Gill, how significant was that innings, Bharat? I know when last he was on the shores, he was sort of the anointed one, and there have been highs and lows in it so far. Where does last night's guiding India home sit for him?
I think he's taken 3 steps towards becoming the new king, Jared. Virat Kohli was the one who anointed him as the prince 2 years ago. And he's been sensational in white ball cricket, hasn't he? I mean, he averages over 50 scores, runs for fun in limited overs cricket. But Test cricket has been a challenge for him since he made that famous entrance in Australia 3 years ago. They've tried him as opener. We saw him make that 100 in Ahmedabad on that flat pitch. But this new number 3 position, I think it's taken him a while, but he seems to have got his head around it finally. And he spoke about the nerves, I said earlier, when he made that 100 in the second test in Vizag, where he felt like, his place was probably doubt, in some sort of doubt. And I think he's kind of just the way he took India home and just the way he's grown into his role. Who knows how long, even Virat Kohli has left as a test cricketer, but it looks like finally what we all expected from Shubman Gill is coming good, that he is not just really good on the eye, but he's got that maturity and temperament to potentially lead India to the into the next era. He will in all likelihood take over as captain as well very soon.
The English reaction. So let me play you a bit of Ben Stokes in the aftermath. Some good cricket, Bharat. They lose the series 3-1 with one to come. They're buried low on the World Test Championship table. Where does this leave England?
They'll keep telling you that what their new approach is the best way forward, and Bazball is the future. But the fact is, and Ben Stokes touched upon it there, it's his bowlers who kept them alive in this series. Right? Even if you go back to Hyderabad, yes, Ollie Pope played that extraordinary innings. But the senior batters have really disappointed. Joe Root finally got that 100 here. We spent a lot of time talking about his dismissals in the series. Ben Stokes has not had a great series. Johnny Bairstow, well, I guess they'll give him the 100 tests next week or 2 weeks from now, but you don't know what his future lies. So it's the batting that has overall let them down. And I think I don't know if Brendan McCullum and his boys even think about cricket these days. They're in this manner, but they've had more opportunities than most visiting teams to really put India under the cosh. And they've blown it, and generally with the bat. To see young Shoaib Bashir, you speak about Shubman Gill's maturity, playing just his second test, and it was fourth of his first-class match. It was an extraordinary test match, but if only he had 70 more runs to play with. And yes, again, but, it's one of those interesting things, right, Jared? You can talk about where England failed with the bat, but when you're up against Ashwin, Jadeja and Kuldeep Yadav, who finally seems to have hit test cricket the way he was expected to when he was just 19, 10 years ago, where you have no hiding, right? You just need to have your best day over and over again to beat India. But credit to England, they've made it very, very watchable. But yeah, I can just tell you that just speaking to a couple of Australian cricketers on the sidelines, they were quite cheery about which way the test match was going, even yesterday, Jared.
Yes, there's a strong sentiment of that on the text message as well, and a bit of head shaking around the Bazball attitude. I think if you coldly analyse it, there should be a sense of lament. As you rightly point out, they had as good a shot as any touring team for a long time at taking India down, and they haven't been able to land that blow.
Yeah, I mean, they made India nervous. There were a few times in the series, even yesterday, but especially in the field. You go back to that Ben Duckett innings and that day's play where England finished 200 for 2. Yes, they are 200 behind, but they seem to be so far ahead. That was their chance. I mean, it's difficult once you're 2-1 down or you're playing catch up in India, but at 1-1 with the position they were in, that was the chance. I mean, that's where they lost, not just that test match, but the series. But look, I mean, whether you want to call it Bazball or not, what they have shown the rest of the world is like you have to really take India by the scruff of their neck and push them and make them nervous, like get them into those positions. And if you can make the most of it, then you can win test matches. We saw Australia do it in Indore. Australia should have done it in Delhi. We were both there, Jared. So, I mean, there is, if you just leave the Bazball narrative or just keep it aside, there are some lessons that I think the other teams can take from how England approached this.
Bharat, see you in Wellington tomorrow.
Can't wait, Jared.
Bharat Sundaresan there running the eye over India's 3-1 victory over England. Our cricket updates for Henley, paying $1,000 a month off your home loan for 2 years. There is a lack of tolerance for Bazball that comes through. James, England is hilarious. We didn't win, but we deserve more credit for nearly winning despite being a mile off.